You've finally done it. After years of discipline, late nights, and sacrifices that no one else saw, the number on the screen has 7 figures. You are a millionaire. You expected this moment to feel like a victory lap. You thought the weight would finally lift off your shoulders. But as you sit across the dinner table from the people who raised you, you realize the weight hasn't disappeared. It has simply changed shape. You aren't just a success story anymore. To them, you have become an anomaly. You are the first person in your family's history to break the cycle of scarcity. And now, you are about to learn the hardest lesson in wealth architecture. It is much easier to make $1 million than it is to keep your family from pulling you back down to zero. Welcome to the Wealth Architecture Lab. Today, we are investigating a phenomenon that few financial advisors ever talk about: the first millionaire curse. We are going to explore the psychological crab-in-a-bucket syndrome, the hidden social taxes of success, and why your hardest battle won't be with the stock market, but with the people you love the most. If you are the first in your bloodline to build a foundation, you are currently walking through a minefield of emotional debt. To understand the curse, we have to understand the bucket. In nature, when a group of crabs is trapped in a bucket, a strange thing happens. If one crab tries to climb out, the others don't cheer. They don't form a ladder. Instead, they reach up with their claws and pull the escaping crab back down to the bottom. They would rather everyone stay trapped in the dark than see one individual reach the light. In human psychology, this is known as collective resentment. When you become the first millionaire in your family, you are the crab reaching for the rim of the bucket. Your success is a mirror. It reflects back to everyone else exactly what they haven't achieved. It proves that the system isn't the only thing keeping them down. It proves that growth was possible, and they didn't take it. To protect their own egos, they must convince you that you've changed, that you're too big for your boots, or that you simply got lucky. This leads us to the first level of the curse, the ATM Syndrome. The moment your net worth becomes public knowledge, or even just whispered about, your role in the family shifts. You are no longer a son, a daughter, or a sibling. You are a safety net. You become the person who is expected to fix every financial leak in the family tree. It starts small. A cousin needs help with a car repair. A parent needs a loan for a medical bill that they have no intention of paying back. Because you have $1 million, $1,000 feels like pocket change to them. But they don't see the architecture behind that million. They don't see the years of compounding interest or the risk you took to get there. They see a pile of cash that you don't really need. Every time you say no, you are painted as the villain. Every time you say yes, you reinforce the idea that they don't need to build their own wealth because you are their insurance policy. You are paying a success tax every single day, and the currency is guilt. The second level is the language barrier. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about a complete shift in how you process reality. As you build a portfolio, you start speaking the language of assets, liability, and long-term strategy. You stop thinking about how to survive the next 30 days and start thinking about how to thrive for the next 30 years. But your family is likely still speaking the language of survival. They speak in terms of immediate needs, consumer comforts, and defensive pessimism. When you try to explain why you're investing in a new venture instead of buying a flashy car, they don't see a strategist. They see someone who is stingy or obsessed with money. This creates a profound sense of isolation. You can be in a room full of people who share your DNA, and yet feel like you are standing on a different planet. You have outgrown the origin story they want you to keep playing, and that is a betrayal they cannot forgive. Then comes the inherited poverty mindset. Even if you have $1 million in the bank, the psychological software installed by your upbringing is hard to delete. You might have the portfolio of a wealthy man, but you still have the anxiety of a broke child. Your family will often weaponize this. They will remind you of where you came from. They will use nostalgia as a leash to keep you from moving too far into the world of the 0.1%. They want you to stay relatable. They want you to keep participating in the same self-sabotaging habits that have kept the family stationary for generations. If you start eating differently, traveling differently, or thinking differently, you are seen as an outsider. The curse is that to truly become wealthy, you have to kill the version of yourself that they loved. You have to be willing to be the stranger at the Thanksgiving table. Let's look at the real math of the emotional tax. If you inherit $1 million, you are often surrounded by people who understand how to manage it. But when you are the first to make it, you are a pioneer in a desert. You have no mentors within your circle. You are the one who has to figure out tax avoidance, estate planning, and risk management, while also fending off requests for startup capital from an uncle who has never held a job for more than 6 months. This is why many first-generation millionaires go broke within 3 years. They aren't losing the money to the market. They are losing it to the friction of their social circle. They are loved to death by people who view their wealth as a communal resource rather than a private foundation. The systemic reality is that wealth requires a level of selfishness that most people find uncomfortable. To build a dynasty, you have to prioritize the future version of your family over the current version. You have to be the person who says no to a luxury vacation today so that your grandchildren never have to worry about the cost of education. This is the generational pivot. You are the hinge upon which the entire history of your family turns. Before you, there was struggle. After you, there can be a legacy. But being the hinge is a painful, lonely job. You are the one who has to absorb the pressure from both sides. You have to take the hits from the generation that didn't make it, while providing the platform for the generation that hasn't arrived yet. So how do you break the curse? How do you keep the crabs from pulling you back into the bucket? The answer is boundaries by architecture. You must treat your wealth like a fortress, not a fountain. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to realize that you cannot save everyone, and that trying to do so will only ensure that everyone, including you, ends up back at the bottom. You must find a new tribe of people who speak your language, while still finding a way to love your family without letting them manage your ledger. It is a delicate, often heartbreaking balance. You are the first millionaire in your family's history, which means you are the one who has to break the curse of mediocrity. It is a heavy crown to wear, and it won't always feel like a blessing. Wealth is more than a bank balance. It is a psychological departure. The first million changes your zip code, but it doesn't automatically change your family tree. You have escaped the architectural trap of poverty, but the emotional trap is much more sophisticated. It is built with love, shared memories, and the heavy weight of expectation. If you want to stay rich, you have to be more than a good investor. You have to be a cold-blooded architect of your own social environment. You have to decide if you want to be the hero who stayed in the bucket or the traitor who climbed out and built a ladder for anyone else brave enough to follow. The first million is just the beginning. The real work is making sure you are the first of many, not the last of a kind. You have the tools. You have the capital. Now you need the resolve. The bucket is deep and the claws are sharp, but the view from the rim is worth every ounce of the isolation. As we close today's session in the lab, I want you to look at your inner circle. Are they the wind in your sails or the anchors on your soul? Are you being celebrated for your growth or are you being taxed for your success? Building wealth is a solo mission that eventually benefits the collective, but only if the soloist survives the journey. Ask yourself this: if you lost everything tomorrow, would your family be relieved that you were one of them again? If you are ready to stop playing small and start building a legacy that lasts for generations, hit the subscribe button and join the Wealth Architecture Lab. We are deconstructing the traps and building the future. I'll see you in the next one.